Have you ever had that moment where something has already gone off track and a quiet voice appears? Well, I've already blown it. Maybe you've overeaten or lost your temper, or you've procrastinated, or you've skipped that workout. You've slipped into an old habit that you vowed to change, and suddenly it feels pointless to try. Like the spiral has already started, the ship is already sinking, like change itself is hopeless. But here's something incredibly important to understand. It is never too late to shift course. Never too late to interrupt the spiral. Never too late to raise the sinking ship. And there's a very specific skill that makes that possible. My name is Michelle. I'm a dietitian and a coach. And today we're going to talk about what to do when habits feel hard to break, when patterns feel impossible to stop, when change feels hopeless. There's a fascinating pattern most of us have experienced. Once something feels off track, like we've broken a commitment to ourselves, returned to a habit we're trying to break, or fallen into an unhelpful pattern, the mind quickly jumps to, we might as well keep going. Today is ruined anyway, and I'll start fresh tomorrow, right? This is the spiral. And what's deceptive about the spiral is how final it feels, how convincing it feels, as if the outcome is already decided and this is just who you are. But what I want you to know, even in those moments, is change is always possible and you are not your behaviors. I recently shared an experience where I'm overeating cashews and chocolate chips. And in that moment, I was able to notice the pattern relatively early and gently shift course, avoiding a spiral of overeating and binging. But what's important, and what that video doesn't show, is that this was not always my experience. Earlier in my journey, awareness often arrived much later, sometimes after the binge, sometimes after the spiral had fully played out. And when awareness finally appeared, it was usually wrapped in guilt, in shame, and self-criticism. Not mindfulness around the behavior, but mindfulness around the regret. And this is something incredibly important to understand. The spiral is not driven by the behavior itself, it's driven by the belief it's too late to change course. But the moment you notice the pattern, no matter how far along it feels, is the exact moment change becomes possible. Not because the past changes, but because your relationship to the present does. This is where a critical skill comes in, the skill of awareness. Not awareness as analysis, and not awareness as figuring yourself out, but awareness as returning to what is happening right now, returning to your experience, returning to yourself. Because the spiral lives in momentum, it lives in disconnection and hopelessness. And awareness interrupts the momentum and restores connection. And in the space of connected awareness, you step back into wisdom and into choice. And at first, it's totally normal for awareness to appear later, right? Deep into the spiral, sometimes inside discomfort, sometimes inside guilt, sometimes after the consequences are obvious. But awareness arriving late is still awareness. It's still practice, and it's still progress. It's still a return back to yourself, which is still an invitation to restore connection, a moment to learn, and an opportunity to adjust. And over time, something remarkable begins to happen. The return becomes easier. And as it becomes easier, it happens sooner, then sooner still, until eventually you begin to notice the pattern before the spiral fully takes hold. Not because you forced change, but because you built a skill. Progress isn't measured by stopping early. Progress is measured by how consistently you return to yourself once you notice a spiral, because each return strengthens your muscle of awareness. Each return strengthens your relationship with yourself and is a step toward greater self trust. Here's a secret ingredient that accelerates this process even more: returning gently with kindness. Returning gently is what makes the returning possible, because when the return is harsh or critical or punitive, the system learns to avoid awareness because it means punishment. We are wired to avoid punishment. But when the return is steady and kind, awareness becomes safer to access and easier to repeat. So here's our practice for this week. The next time that voice appears, the voice that says, well, I've already blown it, see if you can recognize it as just another thought, not a conclusion, not a command, not a statement of truth, and gently consider it is not too late to shift course. The skill of awareness is what the body wisdom framework supports. Learning how to create space, release judgment, tune in to your experience, be with what's present, and respond wisely. If you'd like deeper support building the skill of awareness and presence, you can explore the full Body Wisdom Framework video series on this channel. It is never too late to interrupt the spiral, because the moment you notice is always a moment of possibility. And the more consistently you return, the sooner that possibility appears. It is never too late to raise a sinking ship. Change is always possible. If this way of working with patterns and habits and change resonates, you can subscribe for more teachings like this. And if you'd like support cultivating awareness and applying the Body Wisdom Framework to your own life, you'll find a consultation link in the video description. Thanks for being here. Don't forget to subscribe, and I will see you in the next video.